Right on, man. Well, hey, first of all, man, I got to say, great to meet you here.
You too.
It's an honor, it's a pleasure. You're
Same
this
here.
huge rock star extraordinaire doing your thing out there, man, and at the same time, just a normal dude, which always catches me off guard.
Listen, it's like that SNL sketch with Christopher Walken. Every day I put my pants the same way as everybody else. Um, yeah, I mean, look, I've had a very blessed life, very blessed career, but I just at the end of the day, I just want to come home and watch South Park and just
South
being
Park,
being normie.
South Park, normie.
Yeah,
Those are terms that are near and dear to my heart, my
yeah,
friend.
absolutely.
A
Listen,
certain
I don't.
kind of only a certain kind of people uses terms like that. I'll just let you know.
We're gonna
Great.
get along great.
Yes, we are. Yes,
Yeah.
we are, my friend. Yes, we are. You with your Kanye West tweets and the whole bit, man.
Oh man, back when it was funny, right?
Because it was funny because it wasn't that serious, and now it's like, wait a minute, he really thinks
Yeah.
that.
Oh man, that was a whole time period where like things on the internet were just like silly, but the world could still kind of work normally. And now it's just like, oh no, that's not silly anymore. The quiet part was out loud, and that's not a joke anymore. Got it?
But
Yeah.
but but Josh, I swear, I thought we were kidding. These were the
I
jokes, right?
you know what? Shame on me. I thought we were all just kidding too. But back then it was just quirkiness without the awfulness, and boy, we still got to laugh though, don't we?
I think the second we stop laughing, even when it hurts, man, is going to be when the pain really sets in. I think if folks like yourself, Josh, that can, with all that you've accomplished, yet you're still just a regular dude, and it's so refreshing, man. I
Gotta
just got to
you
say,
gotta keep it light. There's so much heaviness, and we try every day to go where the light is, and certainly in music, I try to take that as seriously as I possibly can to uplift myself and whoever else I'm lucky enough to have listening to me. But then, for mental health, you gotta just kind of turn some of that off and just, like you said, you gotta have the right friends and the right humor.
the right friends, the right humor. I think we've had about 3.5, 4 decades of keeping it real, which has taken us to a really dark, negative place. So I don't want to, Josh, I don't want to keep it real no more. Okay, I don't want to keep it real no more.
Yeah, let's go to some phony baloney funny fantasy land for a little while.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Have to
Our
care this much all the time. Oh my gosh, it's
man,
exhausted.
man, can we go back to MTV Unplugged or something?
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
want the special effects anymore.
I'll tell you what, Morris, I am getting nostalgic for just like, I've started collecting baseball cards. I've never done that in my entire life. I'm starting
Wow.
to do like simple things that like I maybe would have done when I was 12 or 13, just to kind of like allow my innocent child mind to just kind of like take over for a little while. It's a complicated. I can't even imagine for actual children and teenagers right now just
I,
what an insane time it is. As a fully grown adult who's been through a lot of things, it's pretty crazy for me. So yeah.
I think that's one of the things that helps, a person like yourself stay grounded, yet at the same time be enjoys the amount of success that you have because you do know the very important differences between, the larger than life, life and then all success wise, but also how to keep yourself grounded into the exact same amount of importance that the little things are. And people, you mentioned, collecting cards and stuff. Josh, I didn't know that I was a collector of
Mm,
vintage cassette players and boom
amazing.
boxes and Walkmans. These are just things that I just happen to have over the course of the decades since,
Yeah,
I bought my first Walkman with my paper route
sure.
money, my boom box back in the day.
Amazing.
And it's things like that, I think, man, that especially when you put it, when someone like you says it, Josh, you've got a huge platform. People really look up to you, man. And it's great when you're able to like, no, as important as the music that you're creating is, it's also important to, create the things that we can create that make our lives better. And they don't have to be this big grand thing. Is that what I'm
Oh,
getting from you, Josh?
yeah, I have become a firm believer in side quests. I think that we have to have hobbies. We have to have things that are not the main attraction that allow our brains, the jacuzzi, to kind of do something else. And honestly, the dirty secret, I used to say like, oh, my hobby is music. My hobby is just singing more songs or finding, and for a while that was kind of true. I was all in, but I was wrapped so tightly around it that I realized like, well, why am I having writer's block? Why am I feeling kind of resentful whenever another concert comes up? What is this feeling that I'm getting? It wasn't until I started kind of doing the stuff that I thought was frivolous or just kind of not important that it gave my brain the space to say, "Ooh, I think I do want to sit down at the piano again. I think I'm actually really excited about that concert." You got to have the side quests.
It's so wonderful. And when it comes to creating, new music, that's something that you and I, kind of have in common, Josh. I'm nowhere near where you are, obviously, my friend, but you get yourself in a certain place, a certain mood, a certain setting. Maybe tell me what that's like when Josh is ready to create a new song or just work on, some stuff that you're going to present to us in the audience one day, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But what is that?
Sure.
What is that moment like? Like if I was able to, me and my friends able to just kind of hang with Josh a little bit in the studio, just kind of kick back and watch the process go down.
Yeah.
What's that like, man?
I'm the kind of person that, I know from doing this for 25 years that there's a certain amount of homework that goes into just doing every day that isn't necessarily, you got to know going in that it's just going to be a grind. You're just going to try, you're going to write, you're going to sing a bunch of stuff. A lot of it maybe is not at the top of your list, but you have to just start pushing the boulder because that's the only time when you start to get the things that surprise you. All of a sudden, you're taking a walk, you're on an airplane, you're in the shower, something all of a sudden hits you. It's that point where you're just about to go to sleep and a melody hits you. It's the doing the groundwork that isn't so fun, so that when the muse comes, that part is always a surprise, always fun. It's when I'm not doing the other stuff. It's when I'm not um, just writing every day or listening every day. Being a fan is a big, big one. I need to constantly remember to enrich myself with other people's art, to go out and listen to music, to go and see that art exhibit, to go and see that theatrical production. It always fills my tank. It can get really easy to just be in your own little bubble of I gotta figure it out. The more I open my horizon, the more things come my way.
You mentioned pushing the boulder. That's an interesting term, Josh, because I think a lot of people, and unfortunately in the era that we're in, that sounds impossible. It sounds
Yeah,
impossible. It's going to take too long. It's going to be too dang hard to push a boulder. And we're not talking about
yeah.
like a pebble. We're talking about something that may be, taller than you.
A new
It can
project
happen.
is, yeah,
It can happen. It's just not going to happen immediately. Josh,
right.
talk about why it's so important, though, to embrace that effort, embrace that challenge, that struggle.
Um, I've now made about 10 or 11 albums, and there hasn't been an easy one. There hasn't been a quick one in my whole career. Every single one of them comes from a place of feeling like a chapter has closed and it's time to write a new chapter. And there's a certain amount of kind of existential spiral that comes before every worthwhile thing takes place. And it's not a race. You just have to have the patience in an ever, changing landscape where quick is the winner. Now everything has to be immediate satisfaction. Everybody has to have their hit right away, or they're not sure if they're going to have it again. There isn't as much time to develop and to figure out what it is you want to say. And a lot of times you got to fall at the beginning and you got to push and you got to feel like you're lifting more than you can handle, and it doesn't feel good. There's a lot of nights where you go to bed feeling like, do I still have it? Is it still worth it? Um, there's nothing worthwhile that happens that doesn't first have that feeling. And so our job as performers is when we go on stage to make it look like we had it all along, to make it look like this just came and it hit us and my voice is ready to go and we're all going to have a great time. And you know this song and I know this song and we've all known this song and there you have it. But no, it's the stuff that people don't see. It's so important to be patient with yourself and work hard when nobody's looking so that you can make it look easy later.
It's funny when a lot of people, endeavor to be, world famous musicians or just, neighborhood position musicians like myself. They're all too eager to, right when they're about to practice or work on something, they want to set up they want to set up their smartphone, their iPhone, whatever,
Oh
and
yeah,
record it and
sure.
get that for social because, the world we live in, that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Nothing happened if it didn't get captured on social media.
sure.
But in that, I think a lot of people seem to think that if they don't, if they're not capturing it in that way, or if they don't get some kind of instant overnight success, because they seem to think that every successful person, Josh Groban included, is an overnight success. No, the brother's been doing it for decades now. You guys, you just because you don't spend every waking moment with him doesn't mean that he's not constantly thinking about it. They tend to want to give up, or they go to something easier. They just, you know what, maybe I'll just let the ones and zeros do it, and I'll just fill in a couple of blanks. I'll just let some AI thing, handle all
Sure.
the hard work when that
Yeah.
really isn't work at all. Josh, can you please give a little message of hope to
Yeah.
young musicians or musicians of any age? That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
With our generation, we're still quite young at heart. So
Totally.
no matter when you pick up your guitar, start playing your piano, start working on your vocals, talk about why it's so important to just be successful in your own bedroom. Maybe like you
Yeah.
said, when no one's looking,
Totally.
versus trying to get rich quick or get famous quick. Talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit, man.
And it is an ageless thing. It's a genreless thing. It's a work ethic thing, and it's a chasing where the good stuff is thing. And no matter who I've met that I've admired, whether they're a brand new artist that I think has great things ahead of them, or whether it's somebody like Barbara Streisand, Tony Bennett, the legends that I've been able to shake hands with and sing with, and be able to kind of talk to them about like what's your process, what's your inspiration. The thing that is the constant with any of these artists that I know either have bright futures or have legacies that are beyond anything I could ever dream is that they stay hungry to learn. They stay hungry to grow, and they always want to find that thing that scares them in all the right ways, no matter how much success they've had. You talk about social media, you know, everything is curated. I would say to any young artist that's looking on TikTok and seeing, the artists rehearsing or doing their scales, and oh, this is the process. I'm writing a song. Even that is curated. They're still showing you only the part that fits the narrative that they want to show you about that process. And yeah, it might look like, oh, here I am struggling. But truly, the stuff that every artist goes with, no matter how successful, is really the stuff that feels very, very, very alone and very, very offline. And there's no shortcuts to getting out of your own way and figuring out how to get through your own maze and getting through your own demons. We all deal with it. And honestly, all the dark stuff is just because we care. Because as artists, we're sensitive people. We want to share our hearts with the world and we really want it to matter. And so if you're out there feeling discouraged, you're feeling like you've got those demons, you're feeling like even the stuff you're scrolling through is not your story, you're the only one of you. And you feel that way because you have a unique voice that you need to share with the world. And that's not a small thing. That's not a quick thing. And that's not an easy thing. So, but keep pushing because we need to hear it.
So you mean to tell me that me taking all those selfies of myself at the gym isn't going to make my muscles any bigger?
It's gonna keep you honest, and that's the most important thing. Yeah. Listen, nothing
You
wrong
see,
with a little gun show every now and then. Look, I'm all for show. Listen, I do scales on TikTok. I'm all for taking some gym selfies because
sure.
honestly, it keeps me doing it. I think if you can do it in a way that keeps motivating yourself, and if you motivate others in the process, that's a bonus. But honestly, like use it as a tool to keep yourself, where you need to be.
The likes on that photo should not be the goal.
That's right. That's it's about the journey. It's
Right.
about the journey. Yeah.
And of course, now this is just one aspect of you, Josh. I mean, also an actor, TV, movies, on stage. You've got all that on top of your music endeavors as well, man. And by the way, your Gems collection is doing amazing.
Oh,
You probably
thank you.
already know that, but
Thank you
it's
so
still
much.
rocking in the number one, categories. You're
Thank
way
you
up there
so
at the
much.
top, bro. So,
Oh,
kudos and congratulations to you to keep it
it's
going
been
like that. I
fun.
think it's great,
Thank you so
man.
much.
But do you see how your music informs your motivation, your inspiration for what you do on stage, or vice versa?
It's interesting because as I'm about to go now into another project, it's been very fun for me to think about the live aspect. Sometimes when I'm looking for inspiration about what to sing, when I sometimes it's healthy to think about either think about what it would be like to do it on stage or to actually do it on stage. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to sing a couple things at the Hollywood Bowl coming up that I've never done before that I'm thinking about putting on another album
Oh,
and
cool.
feeling it on stage for the first time with the LA Philharmonic in my hometown is going to be an amazingly educational process for me to kind of see, okay, is this worth putting on record? My first album, of course, I'd never toured at all. So we were just only in the lab, just thinking about what do we want to feel and what do we want to hear. And then touring came after that. But at the end of the day, you do this as long as I've done it. And it's all about kind of capturing a storytelling feeling. And whether we're doing it in the studio for 100 takes or one take on stage, I'm so glad that I have both. I love them equally. And also, speaking of side quests, I've been so lucky that I've been able to kind of tap into other realms. When comedy friends of mine have asked me to go do something, I learn a lot about music making when I get to hang out with comedy people. It's all rhythm. It's all about letting yourself go and having abandon and being scared. Uh, Theater, same thing. I am always ready to go in and make a new album when I've done a Broadway show because it worked a totally different muscle and it showed me how strong I can be. Yeah.
I dig that about you, Josh. It doesn't seem like you're just using one thing to parlay into another thing to parlay into another thing. It just sounds like you actually just have all these interests naturally. I can kind of relate to that on a much, 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 much smaller level. Just doing Bay
Well,
Area radio or
you
whatever.
have an enviable voice, my friend. I listen, I if I could talk like you, I wouldn't be singing.
If I could just get my kid, if I could just get my son to listen. Son, did you hear what Josh Groban just said? I want you to do what he just said. Listen to my voice.
Oh
It's
man, it's true.
it's
But
great what
but
you have. It's really great what
yeah,
you have going on, man.
you got to stay curious. You got to stay curious. Like my thing is that I can overanalyze to oblivion. I can overanalyze to feeling totally paralyzed because I'm an overthinker, and I can be thinking about something until I wind up taking no steps because I'm trying to analyze every possible outcome of what it is that I might want to do. And the only antidote to that for me has been to stay wildly curious with no plan and to just think about what might be fun to do, think about what might give me goosebumps, and follow that as long as it takes me. And there are times where that takes me to a brick wall and I go, right, okay, turn it back around. But the only way to find where the good stuff is to keep your heart open from cynicism and then not have a final idea of what that's going to do or where it's going to take you, to just follow it. There's no shortcut to that.
Cynicism is so full of doubt when you're an artist. It's
Oh
the first,
man.
like, we're always our own worst critic, and sometimes that sounds like, there's a noble vibe to that, but then that, like you said, can be rather crippling. You know,
Oh yeah. And now, especially when I made my first couple of albums, there was no social media. I mean, there was no anonymous troll. There was no when you slip, everybody talks about it and points their finger. You could have, something that didn't quite do well but now we have this call out fringe. Like if you even do anything that feels like viral for all the wrong reasons. You just had an off day. You felt like you sang a wrong note. You felt like you looked a little weird on stage one day. You made a weird facial expression, whatever it is. You sang a song you shouldn't have sung. It wasn't really in your wheelhouse. We now have this pile on culturally where we love to lift people up and we really, really love to laugh if they slip. And that is also causing a lot of, I think, trepidation from artists to kind of follow where their spirit wants them to go because they're afraid to embarrass themselves. They're afraid to fall and slip and be laughed at. And I think that it's important to kind of dare, to, I don't know if you can say degaff on the radio, but you kind of have, which stands for don't give a um, but it's you have to kind of put on your helmet and not care what other people are going to think.
I think one of the good things, and this may be a stretch, Josh. One of the good things about all this potential for, uber critique coming at us, by way of social media, because people can get to us so easily and exploit our flaws so easily. Do you think that's going to kind of get us far beyond things like cancel culture, or things like, just, or another way to put it, make maybe in a strange way, it could be beneficial. It's going to toughen us up. We're going to get to a point, because of all that, Josh, that where people have been pounding on us for so long just because they can, all
Yeah.
anonymously on social media, that at some point we all just like, you know what? That's not important anymore.
I think what's starting to happen that's really interesting is that there are many sides of social media, some that are just not ever going to be helped. There's a part of social media that is just only out for the negative, only out for the thing that nobody should be. There shouldn't be a platform for that kind of speech, and they're never going to change. But um, there is kind of a dialogue within the language of communication of social media and self-policing of just kind of like trying to figure out, okay, what is important to be talking about and what isn't. Look, accountability is great when people come together to say this isn't right or someone's actions weren't right. then that can be hugely educational, and we can grow from that. And that could be a really good use of social media to kind of call out where there are problems in our societies or problems where in behavior of somebody. But then there we have it in our human nature when we've had it since we were in the lock, being slammed into the lockers when we were in junior high school. No matter how old we get, and we see it in politics all the time, these politicians are terrified of being, laughed at or being made fun of. There's a part of us that's always in junior high, and there's a part of us that does not want to be made fun of and does not want to feel like the rest of the class is ganging up on us. And there is a something psychologically to social media that I think draws on that. I think it preys on it a little bit, and that's the part that you have to kind of be strong and kind of say, that those voices are not as loud as I think they are.
They're irrelevant.
Yeah.
We're not gonna give them the power that they think they want
You got
anymore.
to be you got to be you. And I would say that offline to the kid that's a little bit different, and as I would to any artist that's at the top of their game that's wondering if they should, branch off or try a different thing. You have to be true to yourself. And it means that sometimes somebody's going to shove you into the locker a little bit, but it's just that it's now magnified. It's on steroids now online. But it's all at the same day, it's the same part of the brain. It's the same thing that we all try to run from.
The thing, when that kid shoved us in the lockers back in the day, Josh, you know what we did the next time we saw him? We avoided him.
Yeah.
We just walked around, or if we had to be in this space, we just were very quiet, pretended he can't see us.
That's where I started to learn jokes. I
Right.
thought that was my weapon. I was like, oh, I'm gonna diffuse this guy with
Yes.
humor,
Yes.
and so yeah, I think that for a lot of people that I know, they kind of use humor to deflect. I think like, oh man, we would have been friends in high school. We would have been, yeah, that was we were cutting through the science class in order to get
That's
around
right.
these guys. And look, hey, wait, we're doing all right. What's that?
Yes.
What's that person doing? Uh,
Exactly.
they're
Exactly.
probably CEOs of a huge company, but still, are they happy?
That's the
No,
question. Exactly.
no.
Anyone could do that. Are they
Yeah.
happy is the question. Josh,
Well,
it's great to talk to you, man. Just a regular cool dude who has taken over the world in so many ways. You've done some great things. Of course you have. I don't tell you that. You've done some great duets with some folks out there, Celine and
oh,
Pacelli.
yeah, I'm very lucky.
Who might I ask if there's someone else out there on your duets list?
Mm.
Is there someone else that you're thinking about getting in the studio with and blending the forces together?
Oh man, there are some artists that I kind of came up with that I would love to sing with. Someone like Adele. I'd love to sing with Nora Jones. I'd love to get together with someone like John Legend. I'd love to. There are new artists like Leve who I think are awesome. Who I'd love to blend voices with. I'd love to sing with Yo-Yo Ma. It's like the classical nerd in me is like just baritone and a cello. I think together would be like really awesome. Yeah, and then I don't know. I'm always open for wacky collaborations too. I always love when there are genres of music, whether they be hip hop or rap or rock and they utilize orchestral sounds and or chorus singers that are different from the genre that they're in. I love when that crossing of genres happens, and a lot of the times my favorite duets are the ones where both artists are totally different worlds from each other, and somehow they make it work. So well, yeah, we'll
I,
see.
you know,
I've been very
and, and
lucky.
and I think there's something really special about what you said right there, Josh, about, artists from total different worlds coming together to make something special. I'll never forget the major crushing blow letdown of two of the biggest artists of the late 80s when I was a kid and I found out that Madonna
Mm.
and Prince were going to do a duet. I was so
Ooh,
excited. These guys from the same genre, the same era,
nothing
total
better.
rock stars. The worst duet I ever heard in my life.
I don't remember it, which is probably saying something.
Exactly. If you've got a duet between Madonna and Prince, you haven't heard it. That tells you everything you need to know.
Big lesson too. A big lesson. Sometimes the thing that sounds like a home run on paper is not the home run in your ear holes.
Now,
So it's yeah.
I can say that because Prince and Madonna, of course, are two of my favorite. Prince is my ultimate favorite artist of life. I'm that kid from that
Absolutely.
era, but so is Madonna. So I love him to death, which allows me the license to be able to critique the way I like to.
They
When we didn't
truly
have social
went
media back
went
then, where we could have
went
bashed them for it.
absolutely went on to be some of the most iconic artists of our time. And so we can razz a little bit when a collaboration doesn't quite work out, but
Well,
it just wasn't in the room.
they've certainly more than made up for it.
I would say so. Yes.
Josh, I read where a lot, I thought it was just me, but a lot of your fans say that your music, your songs, your voice, while it's always uplifting, but it also gets them through some tough times. Would you say the same
Yeah.
for you? Is there like a song of yours that really came from that place? Like, you know what? That one hit so close to home that, I'm sure other people are going to probably feel the same way, and then they do. What's that like?
Well,
What's that song?
yeah. There's that's it never ceases to amaze me the stories that I'm able to hear backstage or whenever I see people write me on social media. That you sing a song and it means something to you and it's been a soundtrack to your life or something that you wrote from the heart, and then you kind of like you put it under the door of the world and you don't know because you've been isolated. It's been in my brain, it's been on a laptop, it's been in a studio. You don't know what the response is going to be. You see streaming numbers or whatever else, um, but then when you hear the stories of what these songs are able to do, and you realize that no matter what genre you're in, we're all universally experiencing a lot of the same feelings of love and loss and pain and celebration and family and partnership. And so, um, for me, I've had songs in my life that have always done that for me. Songs that I've been lucky enough to sing, like "Smile," for instance, was one that I always wanted to tackle because, I just to me it was always a kind of a sad song disguised as a happy song. It's always funny when people like ask me, if I sing at a friend's wedding or something, and they're like, "Oh, please sing Smile. We're so happy today. Would you please sing Smile?" And I'm
Well,
like,
well.
I can, but let me tell you the second line of the song, Yeah, it's actually about like it's kind of Tears of a Clown kind of deal going on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And so, but I've always loved those melancholy songs that represent both sides of life because we all share the light and the dark, and it's like we all have to go through those journeys together of trying to smile through the pain and trying to find ways through the hardship. And so for me, music has always been a way for me to do that. It's a way for me to exercise the demon, sitting at the piano and just writing. I wrote a song called Granted and a song called February Song that kind of came from moments of real kind of kind of a dark time. And so whenever I get to sing those songs on stage, whenever I get to sing them in a happy moment, like at the Hollywood Bowl, for instance, it never, it always dawns on me how special it is that through music I was able to get through those things, and now we can go to the happy place with it.
You mentioned performing again there, Josh. I'm loving that, and I'm loving what you're saying about that. When are we going to be able to experience all of this of you live here in the Bay Area? Sorry, just out
Oh,
of nowhere, left field, bam, put
I
it right there on the spot. We want to
let me
we want to see this in person.
I absolutely cannot wait to revisit the Bay Area. We're planning on gearing up for a big tour next year, and hopefully we'll be able to hit it out there. I love Mountain View is one of my favorite places to play. It's just it's a music and culture loving area, the Bay Area, all
Exa-
of
Exactly,
it.
exactly.
uh,
It's all good.
and it's going to San Francisco, visiting musicians and friends and recording there every now and then and performing there throughout my life. It's the best that you could possibly ask for as an artist. You've got fans that love all styles of music and really appreciate you for who you are and what you do. And I certainly owe it to my friends in the Bay to come back real soon. So hopefully we'll be scheduling that, and hopefully you'll get an exclusive on that coming up soon.
Well, make sure I get that exclusive, and because I'd love to be there, of course, meet you in person, the whole bit, man. And just, or you know what? Hey, I know it gets busy, I know it gets hectic. I'll just be in the crowd, cheering you on, man. Because I'm loving everything you're doing. In the meantime, we're gonna keep celebrating your gems collection because that's got
Thank
all the
you.
gems, if you will. I love that title. That makes perfect sense.
We
You
were just talking about like what could we possibly name this thing to talk about all the gems of your life. I'm like, oh, hello. There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it worked out. Hey, I'm going to ask you to announce me up on that stage with that voice. I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm not coming out there unless you call my name out to go out there. In a world,
Loud brown cow, how towel. Me, 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 me.
you'll get a
Ladies
dressing
and
room with hot
gentlemen,
tea. I'll make
ladies
sure.
and gentlemen,
I
Josh
love it.
Groban. I
Now,
promise I
now,
won't say it all goofy like that.
now I'm hyped. No, I'd be running out there. I'd be thrilled. Be an honor.
Josh, it's been my pleasure to talk to you this afternoon, man. I'm so glad that you had
Same
the
here.
time to hang out with me today and
Always. Thank you for the great
share
chat.
your world, your music, your experiences, and everything you're thinking about with my listeners today, man. And it's so important, especially I don't mean to blow you all up like this, but I no other way to say it, especially coming from someone like you, my man. There's a lot of heavy stuff happening in our world, and to hear from someone as accomplished as you that could still be able to break it all the way down and tell us about still what the most important things in life are through your music, through your acting, through your Broadway stuff, and just most importantly, Josh, just the hang here with you and I, bro.
Thank you so much.
That's the
It,
coolest thing in the world right there to me, and that's why I'm so very proud to be talking to you today, man.
the honor's all mine. I've got the greatest job in the world that I can, use music to bring people together, celebrate the beauty of our similarities, but more importantly, the beauty of our differences. And
Amen.
it's something I don't take for granted every single time I get to go up there and do it. So thank you for the kind words. Thank you for what you do and for having me on today. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely, my friend. Josh, continue blessings to you, sir.
You too.
Continue success on the collections album and the new stuff you're working on as well. Do you want us to look out for anything in particular in the meantime?
I, no, I'm just going to stay wildly curious with no plans.
All right. Well, then we'll just sit tight and keep on rocking the collections until you come through and work on something new. Okay.
You got it, my friend. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Josh. Have a great day and thanks a lot for your time, man. Really, really appreciate talking to you.
Always.